The rock smashed through the front window of Harmony Dance Studio, sending shards of glass raining down onto the hardwood floor like broken dreams. Raina yanked Skylar behind the counter, her body shielding her wife as shouts from the parking lot pierced the night air. "This town isn't ready for people like you corrupting our daughters," a voice yelled, but what neither of them expected was that the daughter of the loudest protester would be the one to save their livelihood the very next day at Willow Creek High School. The couple had opened the studio only 3 months earlier in the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, Ohio, a place where everyone knew everyone and change came slowly if at all. Raina Martinez, 34, with her fiery spirit and long dark hair that she often tied back during classes, had dreamed of this for years. Coming from a large Latino family in Chicago, she had fought her own battles with acceptance, her parents still struggling to fully embrace her marriage to a woman. Skylar Hayes, 32, her blonde hair usually in a soft bun, was the calmer one, the one who planned the schedules and handled the finances. They had met in a dance workshop in New York, fallen in love over shared passion for movement and empowerment, and after years of teaching in bigger cities decided to settle in a smaller community to make a real difference for young girls who needed a safe space to express themselves. The opening day had been magical. Girls from 13 to 17 arrived in colorful leotards, their faces lighting up as Raina led warm-ups and Skylar demonstrated graceful turns. "Dance is about finding your strength inside," Raina would say, her voice full of conviction. The parents seemed pleased at first, seeing their daughters gain confidence and posture. But then during a community fair, someone snapped a photo of Raina and Skylar sharing a quick kiss behind the booth, and it spread like wildfire on the local Facebook group. "2 women married, running a class for our girls," the comments read. What's next? Pushing their agenda. Skylar had been the one to see the first drop in enrollment. 3 girls pulled out today, she told Raina one evening as they cooked dinner in their small apartment above the studio. Her voice was quiet, the way it got when she was worried about more than just business. Raina hugged her from behind, resting her chin on Skylar's shoulder. "We'll be okay. The girls who stay are the ones who need us most." But inside, Raina felt the familiar burn of anger. She had always been the fighter, the one who came out loud and proud in college, while Skylar had come out later after a painful breakup with her high school boyfriend, and a family that still sent holiday cards, but avoided mentioning her wife. Among the remaining students was Lily Thompson, 16, a quiet girl with a talent that shone in every class. Her father, Mark Thompson, was the head of the local PTA and a deacon at the community church. He had allowed Lily to join because she had begged, saying it would help her with school sports. Lily loved the class the way Raina encouraged her to take risks in jumps, and Skylar praised her precision in routines. At home, Lily's life was strict: no social media beyond schoolwork, church every Sunday, and constant reminders about traditional values. But in the studio, she felt seen. As the weeks passed, the backlash grew. Anonymous letters arrived at the studio calling them unfit. Raina wanted to reply to everyone to defend their right to exist and teach. Skylar urged caution, remembering how her own family had distanced themselves when she came out. "What if they take away our business license?" Skylar asked during one of their late-night talks. The moral dilemma weighed on them. Was their visibility worth the risk to the girls' opportunities? They decided to keep classes going, but the tension in their relationship started to show in small ways, like skipped dinners and forced smiles. The night of the rock throwing was the breaking point for many. Police came, took reports, but the crowd had dispersed. Raina and Skylar cleaned up in silence, their hands touching occasionally for reassurance. "We can't let them win," Raina said, but her voice cracked. Skylar nodded, but her eyes showed the doubt. They sat together on the studio floor after the police left, Raina pulling Skylar close, their foreheads touching in a quiet moment of love that reminded them why they fought. The next morning they would face the school assembly call to discuss community standards, and little did they know Lily would step forward in a way that would change everything. That evening after the incident, Raina lay awake staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with the cost of their choices. She thought about her mother calling last week, begging her to move back to Chicago and find a real job away from this nonsense. Skylar had her own ghosts: the letter from her sister that arrived yesterday saying the family was praying for them, but could not support the studio if it brought shame. The couple had built this life together through years of compromise and strength, but now the pressure from outside was cracking the foundation inside. Lily, meanwhile, at home that same night, overheard her father on the phone organizing more parents to protest. She slipped out to her room, clutching the dance shoes Raina had given her as a gift, feeling the first stirrings of conflict between her love for the studio and her loyalty to her family. The town was dividing and the girls caught in the middle would have to choose sides soon. The auditorium at Willow Creek High School was already buzzing with whispers when Raina and Skylar arrived the next morning, their hands linked tightly as they took seats near the back. Parents filled the rows, some glaring in their direction while others avoided eye contact. Lily Thompson sat with her classmates, her heart pounding, as she watched her father Mark take the stage to speak about protecting our children from inappropriate influences. The principal had called the special assembly after the petition gathered over 200 signatures, demanding the town review the dance studio's license. Raina squeezed Skylar's hand, feeling the tremor there, the same tremor that had kept Skylar up all night replaying every conversation with the girls. Mark Thompson spoke with fire in his voice. These women may mean well, but their lifestyle is not one we want modeled for our daughters. Dance should build character, not question God's design. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Raina felt her blood boil, but she stayed silent, remembering Skylar's plea to let the process play out. Skylar, on the other hand, was lost in her own thoughts, her conservative upbringing flashing before her eyes, the Sundays in church where she had hidden who she was, the tears her mother cried when she finally came out. Was this the price of their happiness, the loss of community, the fear that one day the girls they taught would face the same rejection? Lily listened to her father, her cheeks burning. She remembered the last class before the rock incident, how Raina had pulled her aside after she nailed a difficult combination. "You have real talent, Lily, don't let anyone dim that light." Those words had stayed with her through the strict dinners at home where her father preached about family values. Now, as the assembly continued with more parents standing to echo the concerns, Lily felt a growing resolve. The studio had given her confidence to speak up in class, to stand taller at home, even if only in small ways. Her mother noticed her fidgeting and whispered, "Stay quiet, honey, this isn't our fight." But Lily knew it was. After the speeches, the principal opened the floor for comments. Several parents stood repeating the same fears about influence and morality. Raina rose to speak, her voice steady. "We teach dance, not politics. Every girl who walks through our doors leaves stronger regardless of who we love." Some clapped, but the boos were louder. Skylar stayed seated, her internal conflict tearing at her. She admired Raina's courage, but feared it would only make things worse for the remaining students. The couple had talked that morning about the possibility of closing if things escalated. Raina argued they owed it to the girls to fight. Skylar worried about the financial strain and the emotional toll on their marriage. Lily watched the exchange, her mind racing. She had seen the way Raina and Skylar looked at each other, not with anything inappropriate, but with a quiet love that made her question the black and white world her father painted. At home, that love was never mentioned, only duty and tradition. When the principal called for one more comment, Lily stood, her legs shaky but her voice clear when she reached the microphone. The entire room fell silent as the daughter of the lead protester began to speak. "I've been in the class for 3 months," she said. "Miss Raina and Miss Skylar never talked about their personal lives, they just taught us to believe in ourselves. I used to hide in the back because I was scared of failing, but now I feel strong enough to stand here. My dad says it's wrong, but I know what I feel when I dance, and it's freedom, not corruption." Gasps filled the auditorium. Mark Thompson rose, his face red. "Lily, sit down, this is not the place." But Lily stayed, her decision made the price of silence too high after seeing the fear in her teacher's eyes the night before. The assembly ended in chaos, parents arguing in the aisles, the principal calling for order. Raina and Skylar sat stunned, their eyes meeting Lily's across the room with gratitude and worry. They had come expecting more attacks, not this unexpected ally whose stand would cost her everything at home. That afternoon back at the studio, they held each other tightly, Raina whispering thank you for not giving up, while Skylar wondered if Lily's courage would heal or destroy the fragile peace they had left. The days after the assembly brought a storm that no one in Willow Creek could ignore. Local news vans parked outside the studio, reporters knocking on doors asking for comments on the teenage girl who defied her father to defend 2 lesbian dance instructors. Enrollment dropped further, some parents pulling daughters out immediately, while others quietly kept them in, saying the girls begged not to quit. Raina threw herself into teaching, pouring extra energy into the remaining classes, her way of fighting back against the prejudice. Skylar handled the paperwork and the angry emails, her hands shaking as she read accusations of indoctrination. Their evenings together shifted from quiet dinners to long talks about the price they were paying the friends who no longer called the neighbors who crossed the street. Skylar received a call from her sister in Indiana, the conversation tense and filled with concern. You know, Mom and Dad are hearing about this. They said the family can't support something that brings this kind of attention. Skylar hung up, tears in her eyes, turning to Raina. Maybe we should consider moving back to the city where we can just be us. Raina shook her head, her internal fire raging. If we run now, what message does that send to Lily and the other girls? They had sacrificed so much to build this life together. The wedding her family barely attended, the years of proving their love was real. Closing would mean admitting the haters won, and Raina refused to let that happen even if it strained their bond. Lily faced the consequences at home, her father barely speaking to her, her mother crying in the kitchen about betrayal. You embarrassed us in front of the whole town, Mark said during dinner, his voice low and angry. Lily pushed her food around her plate, the dance shoes hidden under her bed, a reminder of the freedom she found. She thought about the way Raina corrected her form with patience and Skylar praised her progress with genuine pride, things her own family never offered. The moral conflict tore at her. Was loyalty to parents more important than standing for what felt right? She snuck a text to a friend from class saying she didn't regret it, but the fear of losing her family kept her awake. A betrayal came from an unexpected place. One of the older students, a girl named Sarah whose mother was close to the Thompsons, recorded a private conversation in class where Lily had shared how the studio helped her feel less alone. The recording leaked online, twisted to suggest the teachers were encouraging rebellion. Raina confronted the issue in the next class, her voice firm but kind. We are here for you all no matter what, but trust is everything. Skylar pulled Lily aside after offering a hug and saying, your courage means the world, but protect yourself too. The couple discussed the incident late that night, Raina wanting to press charges for harassment, Skylar arguing it would escalate the drama further. Their differing approaches created friction, Raina accusing Skylar of being too passive, Skylar reminding her that fighting every battle drained them both. The town council scheduled a hearing on the studio's permit, the pressure mounting. Raina and Skylar prepared statements, their love for each other the only constant amid the chaos. They spent an evening dancing alone in the studio after hours, slow and intimate, their bodies moving in sync, reminding them of why they started this journey. Lily, meanwhile, wrote in her journal about the awakening, the realization that right and wrong were not as simple as her upbringing taught. The cost was high, lost dinners with family, glares at school, but the gain was a voice she never knew she had. As the hearing approached, the three women found themselves bound by an unexpected alliance, one that would test every choice they made. The town council hearing packed the community center with standing room only. Raina and Skylar sat at the front table, their notes ready, Raina gripping the edge of her chair while Skylar breathed deeply to steady her nerves. Mark Thompson spoke first, his words sharp, accusing the studio of undermining family values and exposing girls to lifestyles that conflicted with community standards. Other parents followed, some sharing stories of daughters asking questions at home that made them uncomfortable. Raina stood to respond, her voice steady, as she described the girls' growth, the confidence, the joy in movement. We are not here to change anyone, she said, only to help them discover who they are. The room erupted in murmurs, some supportive claps from a few brave parents, others hisses of disapproval. Skylar spoke next, her words softer but powerful, sharing her own journey from hiding to acceptance. I know what it's like to feel different in a town like this, she said. Dance gave me freedom, and I want that for every girl who walks through our doors. Her vulnerability touched some, but Mark countered with Bible verses and concerns about moral corruption. Lily sat in the audience, her hands clenched, watching her father attack the women who had become mentors. The internal battle raged. She loved her family, but the studio had shown her a different way to live, with kindness and strength. When the council asked for public comments, she rose again, her second stand in days, the room falling silent once more. I've heard my dad say these things at home, Lily began, her voice growing stronger. But in the studio I learned that love isn't something to fear, it's something that makes people better. Miss Raina and Miss Skylar never pushed anything on us, they just cared. My grades are up, my confidence is up, and am not ashamed to say it. Mark stood shouting that she was confused, but the council quieted him. The hearing ended with a decision deferred for 2 weeks, the studio allowed to stay open pending review. Raina and Skylar hugged outside the building, their relief mixed with exhaustion, the price of the fight showing in their tired eyes. That night Lily went home to silence, her father refusing to look at her, her mother offering a sad hug. The betrayal felt real to her family, but to Lily it was truth. She texted Raina and Skylar a simple thank you for believing in me. The response a warm invitation to an extra practice session. The couple used the time to reaffirm their commitment, dancing and talking late into the night about the sacrifices, The lost business, the strained family ties, but also the girls who stayed, the lives touched. Raina admitted her anger sometimes blinded her to Skylar's caution. Skylar confessed her fear had held them back. Their love deepened in the crisis, a quiet romantic bond that sustained them. The media picked up the story. National outlets, calling it a small-town culture war, the focus on Lily as the teen who chose justice over loyalty. Pressure mounted from all sides, some supporters sending donations, others threatening boycotts. The couple weighed their options, staying and fighting or selling, and starting over, the decision heavy with the weight of every girl they had promised to empower. Lily faced bullying at school, whispers of traitor, but she held her head high, the awakening complete. The story was far from over, but the lines were drawn and each woman knew the price she would pay for her choices. The 2 weeks until the council's final decision felt like an eternity. Raina threw herself into keeping the studio running, extra classes, free sessions for the girls who stayed, her way of proving the value they brought. Skylar managed the books, the numbers grim, donations from supporters helping, but not enough to cover the lost revenue. They argued one evening, the stress boiling over, Raina accusing Skylar of wanting to quit, Skylar reminding her that survival mattered more than pride. In the end they held each other, crying, the tender moment reminding them of the love that started it all, the decision to stay and see it through. Lily became the face of the controversy, her photo in local papers, the girl who stood up. Her father demanded she apologize publicly, her refusal leading to grounding and removal of privileges. At school she lost friend Sarah, the one who leaked the recording, avoiding her eyes in the halls. The betrayal stung, but Lily found strength in the dance, the routine she practiced alone in her room. She visited the studio after school, Raina and Skylar welcoming her with open arms, no pressure, just support. In one session Raina shared a story from her own youth, the family pressure she faced, the choice to live authentically. Lily listened, realizing her stand was part of a larger fight. The final hearing day arrived, the council chamber full again. After presentations and public comments, the vote came 3-2 in favor of allowing the studio to keep its license, with a warning to maintain professional boundaries. Cheers and boos filled the room, Raina and Skylar embracing in relief, their business saved but the scars permanent. Lily watched from the audience, her father storming out without a word, the family rift now public and deep. Outside, the couple thanked her personally, Skylar hugging her tightly, Raina promising she would always have a place in the studio. The moment was bittersweet, the price Lily paid, her family strained, possibly forever. In the weeks that followed, support grew slowly, new students joining from neighboring towns, the story inspiring others. But the couple paid in other ways, Raina's family cutting contact temporarily, Skylar's sister stopping calls. Their marriage tested but stronger, they spent evenings reaffirming their bond, quiet dates in the studio, dancing under dim lights. Lily navigated her home life with new maturity, her mother secretly attending a class one day, the first crack in the wall. The awakening spread, the girls in class speaking up more, the town slowly shifting. Yet the damage lingered, friendships lost, trust broken, the moral questions lingering in every conversation. Months passed and Harmony Dance Studio stood stronger than before, the controversy bringing national attention and new enrollment from families who valued inclusion. Raina and Skylar continued teaching their love for each other, and the work evident in every class, the girls thriving under their guidance. They had made the choice to stay, fight, and rebuild, the sacrifices worth it in the end. Lily graduated to a new chapter, her relationship with her father still strained, but her mother reaching out more, the family slowly healing in small ways. She danced at the studio recital, her performance powerful, a testament to the confidence she gained. The couple reflected on the journey one evening, closing the studio after a successful day. Raina pulled Skylar close, their embrace tender and full of gratitude. "We paid a high price, but look what we built," she said. Skylar nodded, her doubts replaced by pride. They had faced prejudice, family pressure, betrayals, and moral dilemmas, each decision costing something: friendships, community, peace of mind. Yet the girls they taught carried the lessons forward, stronger and more empathetic. Lily visited, often sharing her plans for college, dance scholarship in hand, the stand she took opening doors she never imagined. The town of Willow Creek changed subtly, conversations at church and PTA meetings now including voices of acceptance, the loudest protesters quieter. The couple knew the fight was not over, but they had won this battle together. Lily stood on her own now, the girl who chose truth over silence, her awakening complete. As they locked the doors that night, Raina and Skylar shared a kiss under the studio sign, the romantic moment sealing their commitment. The story of their stand and Lily's defense would linger, inspiring debate long after. When family expectations clash with personal truth and justice is standing up for the right thing always the right choice no matter the pain it causes.